Well, I just finished dropping the kids off. I'd done a video, but as it happens sometimes, when I do a video in the morning, someone will call or something will happen. I got to rush my video, and I rushed the end of it. You know, I meant to talk a little bit more about Foxy Seaside and about Gorgeous Package at racing today. You know, how excited I was, for that win yesterday with Cherry's Girl, and excited for our clients. And I wanted to echo the sentiment that anytime a stable horse wins, if you're at the track and a stable horse wins, maybe you don't own the horse though, you're always welcome to come and get your picture taken if you want. You know, what we built is obviously you can own the horse or not own the horse, obviously, goes without saying. But our community is our community. And, we're always cheering for one another. Certainly always excited when a stable horse wins. And if a stable horse wins and you're on site at the track on the tarmac, please don't hesitate to come out. This is our community, and I love when it's well represented. So for everybody that came out that owned or did not own Cherry's Girl yesterday, thank you for doing so. It was certainly a great feeling to see so many people coming into the winner's circle. And for the people that did own Cherry's Girl, congratulations. She raced very, very good. I'm always happy when our horses do good, and it wasn't a fantastic lead. Anytime you go anywhere, sure, we picked away and had some checks, had some bad luck with the trotting fillies, but for the most part, the last 2 days, every single horse that I sat behind raced as good as they possibly could. So that's a good thing. Now, last night, I guess we had Blue Ventura race also. Tyler messaged me after and said, if he was able to shoot through down the backstretch where Kurt dropped back in front of him, he gets a big hunk of it yesterday. And I think he's right? It looked to me like he would have. I was very happy with what I saw from Blue Ventura. He was pacing good. He felt good. There was no mucus or anything after. Certainly no coughing in the warm-up. And everybody was happy with him. The only disappointment last night was the Jays lost. It's okay. Afternoon game today. They'll bounce back. I always get messages from Yankees fans, right? And Red Sox fans. Boo! Saying, you guys are having a good run, but we have a better team overall. And that's just not the case. Not this year. I don't care about last year or the year before that. Anyway, it's always good to root for your sports team, and I have an affinity for the Jays. I like watching them, and I'll be watching them today in between races, I'm sure. So, if you're heading down to the Jug today, make sure you drop by. See Lauren or Daryl's there with the horses also, or me or anybody else. Just drop in and say hi. It's always a great time. I had said to Amy yesterday, she said she saw the interview after the race where I said, next year we're just taking the kids out of school. She goes, oh, by the way, that's not going to happen. I said, honey, I'll tell you what, you can have Sunday, Monday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the kids will be in Delaware next year. It's only fair. I just think it's one of those things you don't want to miss, right? And I don't think you realize you're missing it until you're there. And you're glad you're there. So, if you're heading out to Delaware today, as I said, drop in, say hi. It should be a great day of racing. I know we got a couple more of those fringe players, 4 to 5 to 1 shots. Foxy Seaside, how's she going to get around Delaware? Gorgeous Package, how's she going to get around that first turn? Who knows? We'll all find out together today. But been very happy with the way the week has gone. Now our week is starting to set up. Sunday drew yesterday. Winter Soldier drew the rail. He had to go up in the open, which I suspected he would have to. And we did have our qualifiers yesterday. Spitfire Overseas showed a little bit of mucus and a few drops of blood yesterday, which I think I know what had happened. We trained him on Saturday, treated him up mildly on Saturday, and because we went slower with him, we didn't scope him. I suspect there was something going on Saturday, and it compounded into yesterday. That's generally what happens with Spitfire. Raging Hanover, interfering just a little bit, a little hot. He showed a little bit of blood also, but Agent Black showed none, who arrived in North America because he was bleeding, and ended up here in Ohio now. He will start on the Lasix program. Where we start him, I don't know. I think you might see him head over to Ontario. He's got 6 wins and 60,000 US made. I just think that's probably a better start for him. He's such a gigantic animal. There's not a ton here for him at Northfield. Only that class at Winter Soldier was in, which might be a little salty for him. So we'll likely send him over to Ontario first opportunity. So, this, especially last night, I spent the latter part of my night, falling asleep, watching videos, looking at the catalogs, talking to Amy about, what we're looking at, what I call the storylines, right? What's going to make up the sale for us? What are the things people are going to talk about? Well, the day is going to be dominated. Day one's going to be dominated by Walners. There's 1 million Walners in there, and they're going to take up the bulk of the money. Does that mean that other people go value shopping in other sires, or do they just wait for a Walner they can get? I don't know. I can't answer that for anybody. I know one thing. I don't think you're going to be able to find a ton of value in the Walner section on day one. So, as I said to Amy, I said, I can make this very easy. Maybe we just bypass them all on day one. Very good horses, very good breed, but not as dominant as they were a couple of years ago, right? The biggest, the ones that have really the ice in our drinks the last 2 years have been Tactical Landings. You're not going to get any of them given away, but is there any value there? Is if I price this horse at 60 or 70,000 and we get it for 52, is that possible? We did that both with Degas and Jailbird Jog last year. Paid 52 for each of them, and both of them turned out well. One a little deeper than the other one, but both very, very good fillies. Is that something we can do? In regards to Kentucky, we're bringing Zena Kemp back here. Probably going to race her at the Meadows next week. As Jim, our partner, I saw Jim yesterday in the winner's circle of Cherry's Girl, as Jim had said, at the very least, maybe you can get a look at her in a setting where they're not going to go half at 55, right? You can get a little bit better look at her, and I think that's a good point. It's well taken and a fair statement, and I think that's exactly what we're going to do with our girl Zena. And then as we get a look at her, we can decide if we are going to, in turn, race her in Corbin or forego Corbin and put her away for the season. So I guess that's important. I guess on that trend also, oh my God, that sun is blinding. I guess on that trend also is, you heard me say yesterday about horses finishing for the season. I knew that we had Cherry's Girl still with Virginia Sire Stakes, but I forgot about it was just on the tip of my tongue, the stake race in Pennsylvania next week for both of them, right? Both of them, meaning Cherry's Girl and Rico Tubbs has one also next week. Now, I guess he would have been a fringe player before I saw what I saw yesterday. I was really pleased with Left Line finishing up. I'm almost positive that's left stifle. Dr. Tess will have a little bit better look at that, and he'll have a better idea than maybe I do. But I would suspect almost certainly like that left stifle probably just needs a little tiny touch up, little maintenance, little help, and then he'll literally be off to the races next week. So I think on the 26th is the day Cherry's Girl will race at the Meadows, and Rico Tubbs will also race at the Meadows. So those two horses, that will be Rico's last start, and in regards to Cherry's Girl, that will be her next start. Her last start will be in Virginia. She's got 2 eliminations and a final of the Virginia Sire Stakes at Shenandoah. Never been there. Be my first trip to Shenandoah, and I absolutely want to do that. It's bugging me now. I can't think of why is that not working right? Cancel. Fill password. Yes. I can't think of the name of the Keystone Classic. The Keystone Classic is what Cherry's Girl and Rico Tubbs will be going into next week. So, most importantly, what I love always having dialogue with our clients, right? You guys email me or call me or whatnot, and I always love to talk about the horses because I'm only human. I can't think of everything. I can't always have everything in a perfect place, and although I think something is a good plan, it can always be made better, right? And bringing in all the information from everybody helps me formulate a better plan. partially it's from experience and going through things and saying, okay, that didn't work well. This worked really well. So we're going to build on that, maybe try and shy away from that. But that's wonderful. But other people have been in this game for a long time also. And hearing your stories or getting your feedback is very important also. And I got an email this morning from a gentleman. We've been back and forth a number of times. He likes pacers more. And we do have, this is the one thing I was surprised at. I've been calling on everybody, let me know if you want to get involved in, in Lexington. What's the best way to do that? What's the best way to kind of formulate the buckets so that when we open them, people will buy them up, so that I can go to Lexington, wake up in the morning, go to Starbucks and take a deep breath knowing that our clients are behind us and we're going to be able to fill up all these buckets. How do I do that in a way that makes the most sense? And the gentleman emailed me and said, Anthony, I think having a standalone pacer is a great idea, or a pacer bucket. Okay, that's probably realistically we're probably going to buy 2 pacers in Lexington. That's the reality. That's the reality of it, I would imagine. I've seen a lot of very interesting pedigrees for both Bulldog, Hanover, and down by the seaside, of course. We had great luck with Perfect Sting last year. We're not going to have to go very deep for the Perfect Stings, unfortunately. I think overall the Perfect Stings were not as received as well as I thought they would be. Obviously, we were spoiled. We had one of the best ones. That filly trained down great, raced good, and looked good, and Saturday night she'll be lining up behind the gate, 7-2, going for $470,000 in the She's a Great Lady. So obviously we've been a little spoiled with regards to Perfect Stings, but I guess the overall sentiment was they were okay, right? They were all right. So I don't think we're going to have to go deep in that regard, but I can't just say, well, I want another Perfect Thought and poof, one appears. It has to be the right horse. And I would say if a lot of them were just so-so, we'd be looking for the same type of pedigree, but the same type of body type also. And I know exactly what Perfect Thought looked like. I said it on sale day. I said it before sale day leading up to the sale. And again, when we got her, I told everybody she just looked fantastic. So what we're looking for is an extraordinarily good-looking pacing filly by Perfect Sting, if that was what we were going to buy. Now, further to the gentleman's email, he said, in regards to your comment about buckets, he said, I didn't realize that you had that many clients. We have over 900 clients in 15 countries. He said, for me, he said, when you look at the flyer bucket, he said, every year I think you guys do a great job. He said, a case in point would be a Rico Tubbs, right? This would be a horse. Now, he didn't know how much I priced him at. I'll tell you right now, I had Rico Tubbs priced around $26,000, $27,000. Wasn't really a horse we were going to buy for that price, right? But at 11, well, absolutely. That makes all the sense in the world. And as you go through a sale with 900 or 1,000 horses in it, you are going to see a lot of Rico Tubbs, right? Day 2, day 3, day 4, certainly day 5, where these horses, you had them priced a little higher, and people just hung off them a little bit, and you end up getting them for $11,000. That's what the flyer bucket, that's what, when I say flyer, that's what I'm talking about. A horse that didn't have anything extraordinary, but didn't really have any deficits either. And when I looked at him or her, I said, I believe this horse is worth X. And in the case of Rico Tubbs, you're looking at about 38-40% of X. Well, that's a horse that would fit squarely into that flyer bucket. So the flyer buckets, I like doing these, and I know both the buckets that we had in Ohio were subscribed well. I didn't hear any complaints about them. And when I look at Lexington, he said a perfect example would be your flyer buckets. If you had a flyer bucket for $1,680, let's say, in Lexington, you could easily, he said, just pick up the phone and ask for a 2% commitment on 2 buckets, one or both. One would be $600, $60,000, well, US. One would be $600, the other one would be $800, right? Per share. That would be $60,000 or $80,000. If you could find 50 clients that would commit to a 2%, commit to 2% of one of those buckets or both of those buckets, man, I don't think it would be that hard to subscribe them. You're right. It was one of those things where, as I'm reading it, I'm thinking to myself, well, it can't be that easy. I know it sounds easy. I'm the one who likes to oversimplify things. It can't be that easy. But it is. So maybe rather than just harping and talking on these videos, maybe I should go a little bit old school and just pick the phone up. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Jane, Jill, Tina. You might get a phone call this morning on the way to Delaware. We're trying to subscribe the buckets. Now I have to obviously tell you what the buckets will be this year. I think we'll have 2 flyer buckets. I think it's fair to have a standalone pacer because I already have a number of our bigger clients that have said, I want to be a part of getting a pacer or 2, which is great. We will have probably a standalone bucket, a standalone horse for the pacer. And then I would like to have a trotting fillies bucket, 3 of them. 3 horses would fit in there. I think when you're talking Kentucky, it'd be somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000, I believe, is what we'd be willing to pay. And that may end up being 2 fillies also, which would be fine. Imagine if we picked up Degas and a jailbird jog and stuffed them in a bucket, what kind of bucket that would be for us. Both those fillies have done well and will continue to do well into the remainder of their rookie season, into their sophomore season. Both very, very well bred and will be highly sought after as brood mares after. So yeah, you can't always do that. That's easier said than done. But that would be an interesting bucket also. And then just have a general main bucket of maybe 4 horses. Again, looking at that, maybe 4 would be, let's say, 115 to 140,000. That's a little rough. Let's say 120 to 140. So again, you'd have 2 flyer buckets. You'd have a trotting filly bucket, standalone pacer, and just what I would call a main bucket, horses that we put in there, 3 or 4 horses. And then, as always, as we were going to do, and as it would have been fully subscribed quickly, if we do happen to buy that sort of higher-end trotter, I don't think that there'd be a lot of people shy away from that either. So that's kind of roughly what I'm looking at. Now you've heard me say it out loud. I think we're going to have 2 flyer buckets. Those would be, let's call them 50 and 70. 2 buckets. I think I said 60 and 80 at the start of this video, right? I'm just trying to think. 3 horses, 18. Let's say 18 and 20 is 40. 10. No, it'll be 2 flyer buckets, 1 for 60, 1 for, let's just call them both for 60. That seem fair? 2 for 60 each. We will have a high-end pacer. That's 3 buckets, kind of. We will have a trotting fillies bucket. That's 4. We will have a main bucket. That's 5. And if we buy a standalone trotter, well, we'll buy a standalone trotter. It'll be up for everybody. So that is what I'm looking at right now. You've heard me say it. If you have any concerns or you like what I just said, please let me know. I love the dialogue. If I didn't have the dialogue, I wouldn't have had the message from the gentleman today regarding how we could subscribe them. And thank you very much. Something like that may seem remedial and may seem like it isn't important, but I can tell you one thing. Just the smallest little thing like that opens my eyes a little bit more, to the point where I'd say, yes, that sounds so simple, but you're right. And it is something that we can work on. So that's what I'm going to be working on over the next week. Forming the buckets, putting them live for you tomorrow, I would hope to. And then picking up the phone and calling you. You know, how's your day going? How's your experience with the stable? We are going to Lexington. Would you like to commit to 2% of any of the buckets we're putting on? That might be the phone call that I have to pick up the phone and make. So, thank you for the email. I truly, you know who you are. I truly appreciate it. It did actually help maybe open my eyes a little bit to something I've got away from and need to get back to. And for everybody else, as I said, Delaware has been a pretty good week. Obviously, we could have had a better week, but Cherry's Girls win yesterday certainly helped. Great to see everybody in Delaware and talk to everybody in Delaware. It has been a good week. It's one of those things that if you've never been, please make a point to go. It is a tremendous experience. The entirety of the week, you stay at a hotel, you go to the fairgrounds every day in the morning, listen to the broadcast, watch the races all day long. It is a tremendous experience, and one that I think everybody should take seriously and maybe committing to, since we're talking about commitments, committing to in the near future, next year or the year after. So with that, take care. I will talk to you all very soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to jog a few babies and head down to Delaware myself. Take care, everybody.